So this is called the dot because you see the dot after notes a lot. All right, dotted quarter note, dotted half note, dotted whole note, dotted eighth note, dotted 16th note. When we had our last discussion, we talked about this being 1.0, the quarter note. So if you're in 3/4 time, the 4 on the bottom tells you that a quarter note gets 1.0. So basically, it's this, and I'm going to do it a couple different ways. The dot makes it 3 of the next smallest thing. So what's the next smallest thing to a quarter note, or the next fastest thing, actually? So the quarter note would be an eighth note. So if you had a quarter note and it was a dotted quarter note, this is 1.0. This is half of a quarter note, which would be 0.5, right? Because half of 1.0 is 0.5. 1.0, that takes half of it, and then you add these two together, so a dotted quarter note would be 1.5. All right? You're in 3/4 time. You've got a dotted half note. The half note is going to get 2.0. Half of the 2 is 1, so plus 1.0. So a dotted half note is going to get 3.0. And it keeps on going. This gets 0.5. What is half of 0.5? That is 0.25. So 0.5 plus 0.25 is 0.75. All right? That's it. All right? So the dot makes it 3 of the next smallest thing compared to the note, or it makes it 1.5 of what the note is. So if you've got whatever you've got, if this is what you got, this is my hand, and I added a dot to it, I would have a hand plus a half a hand added together, okay? If this was a pizza, and I added a dot to it, then I'd have a pizza plus half of a pizza, all right? So that's what the dotted note does. And I'm going to cover this a little more precisely here, hopefully, so you can understand it. See, here I am. Look at there. I've been washing my hands. Okay. All right. So let's go 6/8 time. All right. So when you're 6/8 time, the eighth note gets 1.0. So if you had that, that's 1.0. If you had 3 of those, and I'm just going to do it this way, 1.0, 1.0, 1.0. Now let's do a dotted eighth note. So an eighth note gets 1.0. All right. So what's a dotted eighth note going to get in 6/8 time? If an eighth note gets 1.0, you take the 1.0, you take half of it and add it to it. So what's half of 1.0? 0.5. So you got 1.0 plus 0.5. So that would be 1.5. All right. So let's do a whole measure of 6/8 right here. 1, 2, 3. So we get 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, 1.5. What do we got left over? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got there. So this is going to be 1.0. All right. So what would be left to make that 6? We need something that was 0.5, which would be a 16th note. Because a 16th note would get 0.5 if an eighth note gets 0.10. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4, 2. Dot, 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 dot. All right. Okay. Once again, let's do just a 4/4. Let's do a dotted eighth to a 16th. And a quarter, and a quarter, and 2/8. Okay. That would be 4 right here. So, first of all, 0.5, 0.5. So that equals 1. 1.0. That equals 1. 1.0. That equals 1. So you've got 1, 2, 3. We need 4 beats to fill out the measure. So this is going to last a whole count. or those two together are going to it'd be 1.0. So what have we got here? We've got a dotted 8. So dotted 8 is going to be 0.5. What is half of 0.5? 0.25. So we've got 0.75 plus 0.25. 0.75, 0.25. So dun, 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 dun. So if you break all this up into 4 mini notes, dun 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 dun. Okay, all right. So the dot, once again, what does the dot do? First of all, it comes after the note, all right? Doesn't come before the note. If it looks like that, it's going to look like that. If it looks like that, it's going to look like that. So it's 3 of the next smallest thing. So if the next smallest thing that's a 16th note, that's worth 3 16th notes. The next smallest thing to a quarter note is an 8th note, so that's worth 3 8th notes. All right. 3 8th notes. Okay. 3 16th notes. 3 quarter notes. All right. So I'm going to give you a little worksheet and see if you can figure this one out. Good luck with the dot, and don't forget to wash your hands.